Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Asmanthicathonianas TV. It's a rainy day out here on the farm, so I figured I'd do a quick video. Somebody had sent me this the other day, and I want to show you how ridiculous this actually is. Lorena Allen, 40, was arrested shortly after 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Allen is the proprietor of Aruka Restorative Holistics, a Christian holistic living and sustainable farming company. And the title of this article is Raw Milk Advocate Charged with Carrying a Concealed Weapon into NC Legislative Building. Basically what had happened is she had gone to the raw milk hearings, which, by the way, if you look at version 4 of the North Carolina Farm Bill, they are still outlining the sale of pet milk in the state of North Carolina in that bill. So keep an eye on that. If that goes through, in order to get your kitty or any other animal, a cow, raw milk, you'll have to be a part of a herd share. At least they're leaving some sort of window open, and I'm going to get back to that in just a second because I had an interesting conversation last week. So the email that I had gotten was like, hey, look at what your raw milk advocates are doing now. They're carrying guns in the legislative buildings. They're violent criminals. And I think, honestly, that the news would love people to pick up on that based on the title of the article, that these advocates are irrational people and they're basically pinning everybody against the raw milk advocates. So I'd like to just kind of turn you guys back to the facts of this situation. What happened was Lorena was entering the legislative building for the hearing. Clearly, she is somebody who has a business interest in the outcome of these hearings and wanted to be there either to advocate in her own way, in a peaceful way. I don't think she was danger to anybody. And I say that because what happened was, as she was entering into the building and they were going through security with the scanners and all of that information, they have metal detectors there, and they check everybody out, and she had a concealed weapon on her person that could have been in a purse, okay? And I could see how somebody could have a personal firearm, a small one, in their purse for their own personal security. She did not have a concealed carry permit, which is a whole other, this opens, a whole other conversation with North Carolina legislature, as we've seen them try and pass, basically do away with the concealed carry permits, because in order to get one of those permits, you have to rely on a solitary elected official to make that decision for you. Totally unconstitutional. She went through security. They found the gun in her belongings. They charged her with carrying a gun into a legislative building, carrying a concealed weapon without a permit. I don't think that she remembered that the gun was in there. And saying that out loud, I realize that sounds bad, okay? But again, there are a lot of women who carry a concealed firearm in their purse or bag for personal protection. And in going to this event, she simply forgot that she had it on her. But this is one of those things where the media has spun it as in this is a crazy raw milk advocate that was carrying a gun into a legislative building, and now we've got all these issues with the North Carolina legislature trying to approve the sale of raw milk, do away with concealed weapons permits. I mean, it was a perfect media stunt and political stunt for everybody else. And I think that's really why, she was charged. I don't believe in charging people for making an honest mistake. I don't see how this could have been anything but an honest mistake, because you don't walk through a metal detector with a concealed weapon knowing that they're checking for them, right? If you don't want them to find it. So in my response to this person who sent me this saying, look at what these crazy raw milk people are doing now. No, that was just, I think, an honest mistake that she had made. And I'm sure that as her case progresses, hopefully the people that press the charges see that as well, that it was just a simple mistake, misunderstanding. I mean, it could happen to anybody. I always have a pocket knife in my pocket, and I walk through things all the time not realizing it's in there. Now, I realize that it's not a gun, and I realize, completely different scenario, but I still could be charged by walking into a legislative building with a pocket knife in my pocket. Now, you want to know what is crazy, though. and this is, kind of turning the table a little bit, is all these people that are out there believing that raw milk is in some way going to spread the avian flu more than it has. There's not been a single case where raw milk has caused for avian flu to spread. It's given it to some pets, in California or something, some cats, but it doesn't increase the spread. This reminds me of a certain pandemic we went through where people were lied to about what could actually cause the spread of the virus. But they're putting this out there. And what people that are supporting this theory don't understand is that the way this all started in North Carolina was 609. 609 is a bill that would have made it legal to sell raw milk over the countertop to the consumers. There are a lot of states that allow the sale of raw milk. It's been a trending issue. And to be honest with you, your grandparents, your parents even, probably bought raw milk when they were kids, and there were no issues with it. As they tried to push this bill through, there was a certain group of large producers backed by the Farm Bureau, and they came in with millions of dollars. And I've heard this from several sources, farmers that are more familiar with what has been going on with Bill 609, but they came in with millions of dollars to campaign our state legislators against legalizing raw milk in the state of North Carolina. So this is big money that's come in and paid these guys off. So you have the Agricultural Secretary, Steve Trexler, you have the Farm Bureau, which sometimes the Farm Bureau, I agree with their causes, sometimes I don't. This is one that I don't agree with. But they came out and started pushing back on the other side, and they said, okay, well, look, if we can't stop 609 from coming through, if we can't, run a good campaign against it, then we're going to come out in 639, the Farm Bill, and we're just going to flat out ban it before they even have a chance to get their bill through. And Bill 609, this is the funny part, okay, so as that bill came in, they handed it over to the Forest Service to research whether or not they could safely sell raw milk in the state of North Carolina, because it may cause the spread of avian flu, because avian flu comes out of raw milk and spreads, apparently. I think it's hilarious that the Forest Service is the one who's been tasked with doing the research and coming up with the findings of whether or not raw milk should be legalized in the state of North Carolina. But as of right now, these millions of dollars being put forward by lobbyist groups have at least successfully, in the fourth version of the Farm Bill, managed to maintain a ban on the sale of pet milk. And the media, who I'm sure is in some sort of way compensated by all of these big lobbying groups, decides to pick up on a story which nobody would normally hear about or care about and make it sound like a raw milk advocate went crazy and brought a gun into a legislative meeting, which is not at all the case. I mean, it's clear that this person just simply forgot it was in their purse. Every day, more and more Americans are waking up to the fact that our society is simply unhealthy. We've been being fed poisons and being told to put poisons on our body by corporate America for years. A lot of the things that we've been told were bad for us, like animal fats, are actually good for our bodies. Your skin is the largest organ of your body, which is why on Yanasa Trading Co., we're pleased to offer you guys bison tallow lotions and creams. These bison tallow lotions and creams are amazing. They're not made by a big corporation. They're made by a homesteader, just like you guys, our friends out of Canada, Dr. Nathaniel and Susan Ostashowski. We've visited numerous bison ranches and farms and parks across the entire continent of North America. And these are some really great people who have come up with some really great products, and you can buy them on Yanasa Trading Co. and support this program and support your health all at the same time.